All right, let's just jump right in. We're about to take a hard look at everything you've ever been taught about what a good salary really is. Because, and this might sound crazy, for a lot of us, the more money we make, the poorer we might actually be getting, especially when you think about the one currency you can never get back, your time.
So let this sink in for a second. It's a pretty intense way to kick things off, right? The idea that your paycheck, the very thing you bust your hump for, isn't you climbing up in the world, but is actually a debt against your own life? How on earth can a salary, something we all want more of, be a kind of loan? Well, let's break that down.
You know, here's the fundamental deal we all make. On average, we get about 30,000 days on this planet. That's it. And from a young age, we're basically trained to swap that incredibly limited resource for money, which we then use to buy stuff. When you think about it, it's a kind of bizarre trade, isn't it? We're giving away our most precious asset for things we're often too busy or too tired to even enjoy. So what are we really getting out of this deal?
And that brings us right to the heart of this whole thing, the salary trap. We're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly why that number on your pay stub might be telling you a very, very misleading story about how wealthy and free you really are.
See, here's the disconnect between what we think is true and what's actually happening. On one side, you have the common belief, hey, I make $50 an hour. My salary is a sign that I've made it. But the reality? It's often way more complicated. Once you start adding up all the hidden costs, you might realize you're actually paying for the privilege of working. And that big salary, it can start to feel less like a trophy and more like a really beautiful cage.
So how do we snap out of it? How do we see past the illusion? Well, it all starts by figuring out what we're going to call your true hourly rate. And I promise you, this super simple math is about to change the way you look at your job, and maybe your whole life.
Okay, let's do this. It's a really powerful exercise. First, you take your official hourly wage. That's the easy part. Now start subtracting all the time you're giving to the job that you're not getting paid for. Think about your commute, any extra hours you stay late. But then, and this is the real kicker, you have to subtract the time it takes you to recover from your job. That mindless Netflix binge just to shut your brain off, that counts. That's a cost of your job. Whatever is left over, that's your true hourly rate.
And this just lays it all out perfectly. Look at the person on the left, earning $100,000 a year. Sounds great, right? But they're working 80 hours a week. Their true hourly rate is actually shockingly low. They are time poor. Now look at the professional on the right, earning less on paper, sure, but only working 30 hours a week. Their true hourly rate is way, way higher. They are time rich. So, who's the wealthier one here? The answer might not be what you think.
So if the math is so obvious, why do so many of us stay stuck in this trap? Well, there's this powerful psychological force at play, something called the happiness treadmill.
The official term for it is the hedonic treadmill. And the idea is pretty simple. Our brains are just hardwired to adapt. You get that big raise, and what happens? Your expectations go up right along with it. You get the bigger house, the newer car, and after a little while, that's just your new normal. You're running faster and faster, but your actual level of happiness is staying in the exact same place.
I mean, just look at this chart. The first bar, your income, it's going up. Awesome. But then you see the second bar, your lifestyle costs, it's climbing right up there with it. And then the third bar, the one that really matters, your baseline happiness, it's just flat. It doesn't budge. You're working harder, you're spending more, all just to feel pretty much the same as you did before.
And get this, it's not just a cool theory, it's backed by actual science. Neuroscience studies show that our emotional thermostat is, well, it's incredibly stubborn. It doesn't matter if you win the lottery or go through a tough time. For most people, in about 6 months, you're right back to your original happiness level. You literally cannot buy a permanent happiness upgrade. Okay, so we've seen the trap. We know about the psychological treadmill that keeps us running in place. So the big question is, how do we get off? It's time to talk about building a completely new kind of portfolio, the new wealth portfolio, and totally rebuilding our definition of what it even means to be rich.
The very first move is a huge shift in how you spend your money. You have to start prioritizing experiences over objects. Think about it. Objects, they break, they get old, they depreciate. They're just things. And often they just create more worry. But experiences, oh, they appreciate your memory. They actually make your life feel longer and richer. They literally become a part of your story, a part of who you are.
And right here, this is the ultimate cheat code. It's not about earning more money, it's about building financial margin into your life. Living below your means isn't about being cheap, it's about buying yourself freedom. This financial breathing room, it's what gives you the power to say yes to an exciting new adventure, or even more importantly, to say no to a job that's crushing your soul. It's how you escape career quicksand, that awful feeling of being stuck just because you need the paycheck.
Okay, let's put all the pieces together now. I want you to think of this last part as your personal manual for freedom, a clear roadmap for how to start designing a life that you are genuinely fired up to live every single day.
Here is something you can literally do today. You need to figure out your vital 20%. What are the handful of activities, the few key relationships that give you 80% of your joy and fulfillment? Seriously, identify them. And then you have to be ruthless about focusing your time, your energy, and your money on them. Double down on what actually fills you up.
This right here, this is the final crucial shift in your thinking. Stop just managing the day-to-day operations of a life you don't even really like. It's time to give yourself a new job title. You are no longer the CEO. You are now the architect, the designer of a life that is truly worth living.
So I'll leave you with this one question to really chew on. What is one thing, one subscription, one habit, one purchase that you are going to stop buying, not just to save a few bucks, but to buy back your most valuable, non-renewable resource of all, your time?